Hello everybody, welcome back. So when you guys ask me what is the first most important thing that you should do when you decide that you want to take USMLE, I would say plan your budgeting. It is very important to know what you're getting into. I have met a lot of fellow applicants who had to withdraw their dreams of pursuing a residency in the United States because of several reasons. And my intent in this video is that none of my viewers should have to experience that, at least because of poor budgeting. Warning, this is not to discourage you, but just to help you make an informed choice. Now let's start with some of the basics, that is the USMLE steps. Now when I took this exam over the past 1 or 2 years, these are the numbers that I was up against. They might have changed a little, but let's look at what they were. For step 1, I paid $1,030. For step 2 CK, $1,065. For step 2 CS, $1,535. And of course, when you correspond with ECFMG at multiple levels, for registration, for actually sending out the physical forms, for using FedEx, it gets pumped up a little bit more. And FedEx is kind of expensive, right guys? So when you take the step to CS, you have to be physically present here on the American soil. So say you have to get your visas, come here, stay, that would be an additional $2,000 for the exam taking alone. And then some of you decide to take a coaching class before step 2 CS, say that would charge another $1,000. Now this is just the exams. How about the preparation and the materials? So there are books, there's UWorld. So let's break that down. So UWorld for step 1, step 2 combined would be somewhere around $1,000. Kaplan series, lectures and the material somewhere around $300. And then all the other books like First Aid, Pathoma, Goodluck, board review series, and whatever you might read, combine that and say somewhere around $500. So the whole process, I would say somewhere between $8,000 to $9,000. Now where can you save money in this process? For step 2 CS, you can plan to do it after you have done about 2 to 3 months of observerships or electives. Because you have some experience on how to deal with American patients, you may or may not need coaching classes after that. So now let's come to something which is an integral part, but not absolutely mandatory. And I'm referring to United States Clinical Experience, USCE, which includes electives, observerships, sub-Is, and its umbrella. Now let's start with electives. Electives in most programs usually cost somewhere between, I would say, $1,000 to $3,000. Now some of the programs have application fee as well, so that might vary. So an ideal combination is actually to do 3 electives. So say if you spend $2,000 on each elective, you would spend somewhere around $6,000 on tuition alone. Now when you go for electives, in that case you have to stay at a place, you have to go to your hospital. So staying at a place costs somewhere between $800 to $1,500 per month. So say 3 months with an average of $1,000 per month, you would spend about $3,000 total on just the stay. Now, a useful tip would be when you go to a place to do your electives or observerships or sub-Is, it would be important for you to stay near that place. Because if you're staying far away, you would spend on Uber and Lyft, and that would be another $500, like it was in my case. When I had my elective at Yale, I did not see where I was going to stay very thoroughly, and I ended up staying a little far away, a place I could not walk from, and I ended up spending a lot more than I had planned to. Now, observerships are usually free of cost, but you would still have to factor in the additional staying and the travel part of it all. Now, when you apply for a residency, you know that research also contributes heavily to your application. I would say if you have research on your application, it helps. If you do not, it is perfectly fine. So if you want to do research, there are 2 types. Paid and voluntary. Paid researchers are usually for foreign medical graduates, usually on a J visa, and they get paid on a minimum which is $30K per annum. And if you are on a voluntary research, you have to plan your funding and staying, which turns out to be expensive as well. So now how can you save if you want to do electives and research? I would say do a thorough review of where you're going to stay, that is your lodging. Look at Airbnb, look at rotatingrooms.com. That usually helps you pick out the closest and the cheapest places to stay. Another thing would be when you apply for electives, plan out your travel in advance. Most flight tickets are quite expensive, and they can be saved money upon if you know where you're going to go. Wanderoo is a great app for traveling with buses and trains. It helps you choose the cheapest and the fastest and what have you, and then you can be at different places without having to spend a fortune on everything else. Now, the outermost zone of all this is when you come to States, you want to be happy, you want to eat, you want to enjoy, you want to go out in the city. So then, of course, you want to spend another, I would say, $1,000 for a total of 3 months, probably sounds good. So then factor that additional amount as well. So the whole elective observerships can cost anywhere between $8,000 to $15,000 depending on how well you economize, how well you stay, and how well you plan ahead. That said, this is pretty much comprehensive yet not complete. So, you could have a completely different story. But that's that from for now, and I hope this was helpful. And if you liked the video, then don't forget to give a thumbs up and leave your comments and questions in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to answer questions in future videos. Well, good luck, stay tuned, bye.